when I say that it is an absolute pleasure to be here before you gentlemen, and just, for you young men to be here, it just simply says so much. And, you literally could have been any place else. But the best thing that you can do, as Mr. McMorris stated, is to invest in yourself. And the fact that you are here is definitely showing that you are taking the time to invest in yourself. And then the reason why I do what I do is literally for this generation right here. And then as Mr. McMorris, as he was speaking about, insurance is a vehicle to provide generational wealth. And I'm transitioning to Black Wall Street because that's literally what Black Wall Street was built upon, the principles of generational wealth. Because O.W. Gurley, he was actually in President McKinley's cabinet, and he discovered that there was prosperity in Oklahoma. Now this was all the way back in 1920. And he actually quit his job and actually moved to Oklahoma, and he actually bought a boarding house. And then because he found economic prosperity, he started reaching out to other freed slaves, saying, come to Oklahoma because you can find prosperity. And then from there, they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming. And then just simply from him saying, come, we can find prosperity, they actually birthed about 600 businesses, all within a 40-acre radius. And then because they would work on the left side of the tracks, which was the white side of the community, they would bring their money home and only spend their money on the left side of the tracks, so therefore they interconnected their black dollar. And because they interconnected their black dollar, there was significant prosperity. But anytime that you have significant prosperity on one side, the left side, unfortunately, has a tendency to get jealous. And so what they did is that there was a young black man. It's important to pay attention to your surroundings. There was a young black man who was actually working in a hotel. And then there was a young white woman who actually said that this young black male tried to accost her. And they later found out that it wasn't true, but however, back then, they would take you out of the jail cell and hang you. And so therefore, this white community converged upon this jail cell, and they was gonna bring this young black man out and hang him. And so of course, the black members showed up, the black members in the community, they weren't gonna let that happen. And unfortunately, someone got shot. And so from there, a mob ensued, and they literally burnt down that whole black community. So now, mind you, I want you to think about that. They burned down that whole black community. And if that community, if it was here, and then if it was thriving today, that community would be worth over $1 trillion. But mind you, and not only did they burn down the community, the government at the time even armed them and said, go get them, because they saw what was happening. And the reason why that's so important for right now is that we are at a transition. We are at an intersection in life, especially for you young black men. Because I want you to think about this. Right now in Black America, they say that we are only 12% of America's population, but yet and still, we are $1 trillion. We spend $1 trillion every month. Every year we spend $1 trillion. Can you imagine if we spent that $1 trillion within our community? Did y'all know that the black dollar only stays in the black community for 6 hours? Did y'all know that? I know that's a startling fact, ain't it? Because it stays in the Hispanic community for 10 days. It stays in the Jewish community for 25 days. It stays in the Asian community for 30 days, that dollar. And the reason why it only stays in the black community for 6 hours is because as soon as we get our paycheck, we go to Walmart, and that's white owned. We go buy some Nikes, and that's white owned. We go to McDonald's, and that's white owned. Can you imagine if we only did business within ourselves, that if we only did business with other black faces that look like you? How many of you actually own a business right now or have aspirations of owning a business right now? Now, you own a business? What's your business, young man?
I'm a personal chef at Slick Foods Cooking.
Now, you said you're a personal chef?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. And what do you do, young man?
Hoodies and white t-shirts.
You sell hoodies and white tees? Okay, so now I need for, and who else said that they owned a business?
Aspirations of owning a business.
You said you have aspirations of owning a business? That's fantastic. Because as he mentioned about Black Wall Street, now mind you, we're actually getting ready to launch a Black Wall Street platform that is specifically geared towards entrepreneurs. And then, because if we interconnect our black dollar, if we really take the time to really truly to invest in y'all at this young age, you can amass a multitude of wealth. And so mind you, and then I tell people, look, and in fact, you said that you said a t-shirt company? You know, dear, I don't want you just simply to think about the t-shirt company. I want you to think about the fabric for the t-shirts. I want you to think about the cotton for the t-shirts. Don't just own just the product, own everything that goes into the product.
Distribution.
Even whenever it comes down to manufacturing your product, make sure that you deal with a black manufacturer for your product. So don't just think, oh, I have this t-shirt, I wanna go out and sell this t-shirt. Young man, you said that you want to be a chef, correct? Or that you are a chef, correct? So now, even whenever you go to get your produce, go to a black produce shop. Even whenever you go to get, your meat, go to a black, to a black meat market. Now think about that would look like if we really truly thought like that. So now, because if we interconnect this black dollar, we can actually create a system where we all can be extremely successful. And now I'm gonna tell you gentlemen two books to read. One is called Powernomics, it's by Dr. Claude Anderson. Now mind you, my dad had me read this book probably about 25 years ago called Black Labor, White Wealth. And Black Labor, White Wealth is actually a book of how white America was built on the backs of black slaves. But we can't use that as an excuse anymore. Even though true enough, they got a 400-year head start, but we gotta think about where we at right now. And basically, right, Powernomics is the black Bible for the black community. Because it specifically talks about how we need to interconnect and how we need to start changing our thinking, because some people say that we have stinking thinking. No, we don't. We just simply have to rechange our thinking of how we think about the possibilities of tomorrow. Because as a man thinketh, so he shall be. So therefore, you have to just simply start thinking about positive things. And then interconnect with positive people. You know, to where, now mind you, if you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the smartest person in your circle, then you need to get a new circle. Always continue to elevate up. Always continue to elevate up. And then mind you, right, even right now, most of y'all talking about dating. I'm just simply gonna share some information with y'all, that I share with my brothers, especially whenever it comes to dating. You know, elevate yourself up. If you date a dumb woman, you will have dumb problems, unfortunately. And then now mind you, even with your friends, they can to where with your friends, if they're not being positive, if they're not elevating you and pushing you forward, make sure that you find yourself in circles where people push you forward. If they don't inspire you to be the best possible version of you, then you need to get a new circle. And then not only that, you only have one time to make a good first impression, one time. So therefore, whenever you go out and you present yourself, stop and take a second. Is this how you really want to truly present yourself? Because mind you, right, you don't know. You just simply don't know who you might talk to, who you might meet, who you might encounter. So always be thinking about your next moves. One of the best lessons my daddy ever could have given me is that he taught me how to play chess, and he would never ever let me win. And the reason why he said he taught me how to play chess is because he always wanted me to be able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. Don't ever get stuck in this moment right here. Always be thinking about 2 or 3 steps ahead. There is no situation in life that you will ever encounter that you can't go over, that you can't go under, or that you cannot go around. Don't ever get stuck standing still. Always think about the possibilities of tomorrow and then what it is that you want to shape yourself into be. And then always just simply continue to keep moving forward. Because if we don't move forward, we'll get stuck. And right now, it's unfortunate that they hunt for young black men like y'all. And then even with this election that just happened, with this insurrection that just happened, that was about y'all. Because they knew that if Joe Biden, that if he got into office, that he was gonna create opportunities of economic prosperity for black people, specifically for young black men. And so right now, y'all all need to be thinking about business ownership, because now, what's the age group of these young men now?
20, 21, 19, 18, 19, 20.
Y'all all need to be thinking about ownership. Literally, there was only three people that said that they were talking about ownership. You have to be thinking about ownership right now, because we need to own our own thoughts. We need to own our own ideas. We need to own our own cars. We need to own our own land. We need to own our own businesses. No matter what it is, always think about ownership. Cause did y'all know that 50 Cent, that even whenever he had made $20 million, that he was living in an apartment where he was only paying $800 a month for years? Did y'all know that? Now think about that. Now think about what 50 Cent is doing right now. He found something that he was good at. And I'm not saying for y'all to get out here and hustle. But mind you, Mr. McMorris, he talked to you about hustling. He just simply had to find a hustle that was legal. The insurance industry is a hustle that's legal. So you find something that you're good at, and then you focus on what it is that you're good at, and then just simply just keep progressing. Mind you, he started out in the streets hustling, but then he started doing mixtapes. And then he started doing mixtapes until he got a record deal. And then he did the record deal until he started doing movies. And then he started doing movies until he ended up, doing something like a $40 million deal with Vitamin Water. And now he got 3 series on Showtime. I mean, where do they do that at? Think about the possibilities of that. Mind you, and this is a young man whose mother that was killed at a young age. So y'all don't have any excuses, none whatsoever. So please, take a time, because now if you don't want to read Powernomics, because mind you, that might have been a little bit over where you were at, but by all means, research 50 Cent and then how he ended up getting to where he was at. Take a look at Jay-Z and how he ended up getting where he was at. Even with Will Smith, and then mind you, I'm just simply saying that because these are young black men that decided to do something more. All right, Ernest, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, but I appreciate y'all more than you could imagine.
These young men